Heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall has fans stunned after the UFC 321 main event against Ciryl Gane. Besides the amazing outcome, his father revealed he might leave the UFC for boxing, where the paydays are far bigger. With only 3 fights left on his contract, Andy Aspinall says he doesn't want his son to re-sign, claiming that the UFC doesn't pay anywhere near as much as boxing. It's a statement that could send shockwaves through Dana White's office, especially with Aspinall now one of the biggest rising stars in combat sports. Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman is facing serious backlash after dismissing a potential fight with Belal Muhammad. Despite Belal being the #1 contender at welterweight, Usman said he has nothing to gain from fighting him, sparking outrage among fans who accuse the former champ of ducking real competition. Muhammad fired back, and the MMA community isn't holding back either. For daily fight updates, breaking news, and the stories shaking up the sport, subscribe to MMA Desk and let's dive right in. The video. Kamaru Usman spoke during a Q&A and was asked a tough question. Why isn't he fighting Belal Muhammad, who is the #1 contender at welterweight? Usman said he has nothing to gain by fighting Belal.
Muhammad quickly tweeted, "See you soon. I know your eyes are on a title fight, but if the UFC comes to you, that's also a pretty big fight." Former champ for former champ.
Who is it?
Belal Muhammad.
Who is it?
Former welterweight champion Belal Muhammad.
Next.
He explained that his goal is to get back to the title as fast as possible, and he thinks facing Belal doesn't help him do that. He also called Belal a dork and said the back and forth online is mostly coming from Belal, not him. This answer upset a lot of fans. They felt that if Belal is ranked higher, then beating him would clearly help Usman earn a title shot. Many people posted that Usman sounded like he was avoiding a hard fight. Some even brought up the head kick loss Usman suffered against Leon Edwards and used it to mock his comment. The reaction shows how quickly opinions can change in MMA. Usman used to be the dominant champion everyone chased. Now, after losing his belt and taking some tough fights, he's dealing with more criticism. Whether he's truly ducking or just being strategic, this moment raises a big question. Should top fighters pick fights to protect their path to the title? Or should they face the most deserving contender every time? Fans, media, and fighters will keep debating that, and it will follow Usman into his next matchup.
Just waiting for one of these guys to stop talking and sign a contract. We're looking for Usman. We're ready. I'm ready. I've been ready. I'm healthy. I've been training. Been working with my boy, Jared Mearshart, fighting tomorrow. He's ready to kill tomorrow, so I've been in camp with him.
Belal Muhammad didn't stay quiet after Usman's comments. He fired back on social media with a sharp line. "You know a lot about getting your head kicked in." It was a clear shot at the famous knockout by Leon Edwards that ended Usman's long reign as champion. Belal's response was short but strong. It said a lot without going on and on. In today's MMA world, a powerful clapback can spread fast and shape the story. Fans loved it because it felt like Belal stood up for himself. He's been working his way up the rankings for years. He has a strong winning streak and keeps asking for big fights, even when they don't come easily. So when Usman said he had nothing to gain, Belal's joke hit a nerve. People felt like he earned the right to fight anyone, especially a former champion. This kind of online talk doesn't just entertain, it can lead to real fights being made. If enough fans keep asking, the UFC might decide to book Usman versus Belal, simply because the demand gets too loud to ignore. For now, Belal keeps doing what he does, training, staying ready, and making sure people don't forget that he's next in line.
Well, we didn't have a lot of back and forth. It was just a lot coming from him. I just think he's a dork, and you know, what you do with dork is you ignore them. Because, and this is a question, I like that question. This is the thing is, for someone like myself and Belal Muhammad, right now Belal Muhammad is ranked, what, #1?
The UFC 321 main event became official when Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane both made weight. Tom came in at 255 pounds, and Gane weighed 247.5 pounds. These numbers matter because they show the type of heavyweight each man is. Tom is taller, fast, and strong, and he likes to mix striking with quick takedown. Gane is very athletic for a heavyweight, with great footwork and smooth kickboxing. Seeing them step on the scale and face off is the last step before fight night. It adds to the excitement and helps fans imagine the matchup. Tom's calm confidence shows he believes he belongs as the champion. Gane's serious look shows he knows this might be his best chance to become, or in his case, reclaim an undisputed shot at the top of the division. The weigh-in also gives clues. If a fighter looks drained or shaky, people worry. But both men looked ready and healthy. The UFC then announced the main event was official, and the crowd cheered.
All right, now, UFC 321, October 25th, Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall will face Ciryl Gane. Aspinall has 15 wins, and all of them are by finish.
These moments, the square up and the handshake or stare down, help the story of the fight. You can feel the tension even without punches. Now it's not just talk. Their weights are set, the bout is locked, and the cage is waiting. The energy of a title fight comes from the idea that anything can happen. One punch, one mistake, one perfect move can change a career in seconds. Dustin Poirier talked about Ciryl Gane's mindset and pressure before this fight. He understands it because he fought for the lightweight title 3 times and didn't come out as the champion. Dustin explained that when you keep getting chances at the top, every day starts to feel heavy. You think, is this my last real shot? That kind of thinking can help some fighters focus, but it can also eat away at others. Dustin admired Gane's unique style, especially his footwork and lateral movement, which are rare at heavyweight. He said Gane is a true heavyweight athlete, strong, lean, and skilled, but Dustin pointed out that Tom Aspinall is a different type of challenge.
I think if I hit anybody, I can knock anybody out. And I think that Ciryl is no exception, but obviously there are some weaknesses in his ground game that we've seen, but I'm sure he's improved. Do you know what I mean? This is an MMA fight, it can go anywhere, so I'm sure we'll both be ready for anything.
Tom is fast for his size, dangerous with his hands, and efficient in grappling. That mix can put real pressure on someone like Gane, who prefers to strike at range. Dustin's words make you think about the mental side of fighting. It's not just about training hard in the gym. It's about handling the voice in your head that says, don't blow this. Dustin knows how that voice sounds because he lived it. His message to Gane, even if he didn't say it directly, was simple. Accept the pressure, but don't let it freeze you. Use it to sharpen your focus. If Gane can do that, he might unlock the best version of himself at the exact moment he needs it. There was a confusing story around Patchy mix and a drug test from a Bellator fight in France. At first, reports came out saying his win over Magomed Magomedov was being turned into a loss because of a marijuana test failure. That news spread fast and made Mix look bad. But then more details came in. Tatiana Suarez, who was engaged to Mix, said the lab made a mistake. She claimed the decimal point in the test results was in the wrong place, which made it look like Patchy was over the limit when he was not. She also said they spent $20,000 on lawyers trying to fix it. Later, officials clarified that Mix's win would stand.
Oh my goodness, man. Patchy Mix just is not that guy. You know, this just goes to show Bellator champions just are not it. Bellator, PFL, these guys are just not on the same level. Nothing.
The test that mattered for oversight came back negative, so the record stays the same. This whole situation shows how tricky drug testing can be, especially when different groups and countries follow different rules. It also shows how fast people react online. One headline can damage a fighter's name even if it turns out to be wrong. For Mix, keeping his win is important for his career and his confidence. For fans, the lesson is to wait for full information before judging. Mistakes can happen. What matters is that the final decision was made carefully and it matched the evidence. In the end, Mix's performance stays on his record, and he can move forward without a dark mark from a lab error. Conor McGregor spoke at a BKFC press conference and said he's been on a spiritual journey. He said he feels saved and healed, and that his competitive fire is now a roaring blaze. He talked about God guiding people's paths, including his own. Conor has always had a big personality, and his words can shift the mood of the whole sport. When he says he is ready to come back with passion, fans pay attention. They remember the old Conor who won titles in 2 divisions and became the biggest star in MMA. Of course, words are just the start. People want to see what he does in training and in the cage. But this new message feels different from his usual trash talk. It sounds more personal and serious. He even said he envied the fighters about to make weight because they were just moments away from doing what they were called to do. That shows respect for the process, the grind, and the discipline needed to fight. If Conor truly returns with a clear head and focused heart, he can still create huge moments. The sport is better when its biggest star is active and dangerous. His statement doesn't guarantee wins, but it does suggest he's aiming for more than money and fame. He wants meaning, and that could make his comeback more interesting than ever. Peyton Talbot is a rising fighter who surprised many when he accepted a bout with Henry Cejudo. Cejudo is a former UFC champion in 2 weight classes and an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. That is a huge jump in competition. People wondered why Talbot would take such a hard fight so soon. In an interview, Talbot explained that he didn't say no to anyone, and many fighters between him and Cejudo actually turned him down. He wanted to fight at Madison Square Garden, but plans didn't work out. When Cejudo said yes, Talbot also said yes because he wants to test himself against the best. He said he respects Henry and knows there may never be another athlete quite like him. Talbot also said he's not chasing easy matchups to pad his record. He really wants the challenge, which is rare in a sport where one loss can slow a career. This mindset shows courage and ambition. It also shows he understands how the UFC works. Big wins over big names can change your whole life. Talbot is betting on himself. If he wins, it will skyrocket his status. If he loses, he can still learn from facing one of the greats. Either way, He's showing fans that he's brave and serious about reaching the top by fighting the toughest guys available. On a podcast, Renato Moicano joked about Gilbert Burns' losing streak and said some harsh things. It sounded personal and stung because Burns is a respected veteran who has fought many tough opponents. Burns fired back and challenged Moicano to a grappling match. He even called it easy money, suggesting he believes he could beat Moicano without much trouble. This kind of friendly but not so friendly trash talk is common in MMA, but it can also lead to real matches. A grappling match would focus on their jiu-jitsu and wrestling skills without striking. It could be a fun way to settle the argument and give fans something different to watch. For Burns, it's also a way to take control of the story around his losing streak. Instead of feeling like a target, he's turning the talk into a chance to compete. For Moicano, accepting could prove he backs up his words. Both men are skilled on the ground, so it might actually be a close contest. In the end, this moment reminds us that fighters have pride. They don't like being laughed at. When someone pokes at them, they often choose to fight, even if it's a different style of contest. If this grappling match happens, it could cool the tension or make it even hotter, depending on who wins and what gets said afterward. Tom Aspinall once said that Daniel Cormier, in his prime, would have been a terrible matchup for him. He explained that DC's style, short, stocky, powerful wrestling mixed with striking, would be tough to handle. That was a lot of respect from a current champion toward a former one. Later, when they sat down together, Cormier thanked Tom for saying that and joked that if they ever fought, he would shoot for a takedown from the other side of the cage as soon as the bell rang. This exchange shows something important about MMA. Great fighters often respect each other's skills, even if fans want them to argue. Tom is confident, but he's also honest about stylistic challenges. DC is humble too, admitting that Tom might have beaten him up if things went a certain way. These kinds of conversations help fans understand the chess game of fighting. It's not only about who is stronger or who hits harder, it's about how styles match, how game plans are built, and how tiny decisions decide the outcome. When a current champion and a retired legend can talk like this, it teaches younger fighters and fans to value respect. It makes the sport feel bigger than a single fight. It feels like a line of champions passing lessons forward. Aspinall recently said he would rather give up his heavyweight belt than fight his friend. That comment upset Dana White, who called it absolutely insane. Then Tom's father, Andy Aspinall, added even more heat by saying he doesn't want Tom to re-sign with the UFC after his next 3 fights. He said he wants Tom to switch to boxing, where the money is much better at the top level. Andy explained that when Tom spars good boxers, he does well, so he believes Tom could succeed there. This idea puts a spotlight on fighter pay. Boxing's biggest stars often make more than UFC champions, especially on pay-per-view, but moving to boxing is risky too. The sport is different, the opponents are specialized, and building a brand there takes time. For Tom, the decision could shape his whole legacy. Does he stay in the UFC and try to become one of the best heavyweights ever? Or does he chase the biggest paydays in boxing and try to win there too? Fans are split. Some want him to stay and fight everyone in the octagon. Others want him to get paid as much as possible while he's in his prime. No matter what he does, people will watch. If he keeps winning, he can write his own ticket. If he moves, he could open the door for more MMA champions to try boxing. Either way, his next few choices will be some of the most important of his career. The MMA world is in a moment of change from contract drama and online feuds to spiritual comebacks and big money dreams. Tom Aspinall's possible move to boxing highlights how much fighter pay still drives major decisions, even for champions. His father's comments remind everyone that while fame matters, financial security matters more. Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman's refusal to fight Belal Muhammad shows how pride and strategy collide in the race for another title shot. Fighters like Dustin Poirier, Patchy Mix, and Peyton Talbot are proving that the mental game, the rulebook, and personal courage all shape careers just as much as wins and losses. Conor McGregor's talk about faith and purpose adds a new layer to a sport that's already full of emotion, risk, and redemption. Whether it's inside the cage, behind the mic, or in front of the cameras, MMA keeps giving fans drama, inspiration, and chaos all at once. If you love fight news, bold opinions, and the stories that go deeper than the punches and kicks, don't miss a beat. Subscribe to MMA Desk for your daily hit of MMA updates, interviews, and insights from every corner of the fight game.